I was 18 years old when my own mother looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You were a mistake, and I'm done paying for it." No yelling, no tears, just cold, final words. That night, I stood on the porch with a trash bag full of clothes. No money, no plan, and nowhere to go. I thought that was the end of my life. I was wrong, because what I did after that night is something nobody, especially my mother, ever expected. This is not just a revenge story. This is a story about survival, silence, and success that speaks louder than hatred. My name is Emily Carter. I grew up in a quiet suburban town in Ohio, in a house that looked perfect from the outside. White fence, clean lawn, family photos in the living room. But inside that house, I always felt like an unwanted guest. My mother, Linda Carter, loved control. Perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect reputation. And then there was me. I was not rebellious. I was not lazy. I was just never enough. Every mistake I made became proof of something she already believed. You're too sensitive. You're not smart like other girls. You'll never survive on your own. I tried harder every year. On a roll. Part-time job after school. Scholarships applications. But no achievement ever changed the way she looked at me. Like I was a reminder of a life she didn't want. On my 18th birthday, there was no cake. "No, I'm proud of you." Instead, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a printed paper. "You have 1 week to move out." I laughed at first. I thought it was a threat, a way to scare me. But she didn't blink. "You're an adult now," she said calmly, "and I'm done fixing my mistakes." That word stayed with me. Mistake. The night I left, she didn't watch me go. She locked the door before I reached the sidewalk. And just like that, I became homeless at 18. What my mother didn't know was this. That night didn't break me. It rewrote me. The first night after my mom kicked me out, I slept in my car. It was a beat-up old Honda Civic I bought with my part-time grocery store job. I had always complained about it before. That night, it became my only home. I parked behind a 24-hour Walmart because it felt safer. The lights were always on, and nobody asked questions. I wrapped myself in an old hoodie and tried to sleep, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying her words. Worthless mistake. By morning, my phone showed $47.32 in my bank account. That was it. I still went to work the next day like nothing had happened. I smiled at customers, scanned groceries, said, "Have a nice day." No one knew I hadn't eaten since yesterday. No one knew I brushed my teeth in a gas station bathroom. No one knew I cried silently in my car during breaks. And I didn't tell anyone, because deep down, I was terrified that my mother was right. I stopped talking to friends. I didn't want pity. I didn't want questions I couldn't answer. At night, I watched other families through car windows, parents picking up kids, laughing, arguing over dinner plans. I wondered how something so normal could feel so unreachable. One evening, after my shift, my manager pulled me aside. "You okay, Emily?" he asked. "You've been quiet." I almost told him. Almost. But then I imagined my mom's voice again. "You'll never survive on your own." So I smiled and said, "Yeah. Just tired." That night, I made a decision. If the world was going to see me as invisible, then I would build my life quietly. No announcements. No revenge posts. No begging. Just work. Learn. Survive. I started spending my nights at the public library instead of my car. It was warm, safe, quiet. That's where everything changed. One night, scrolling through a free computer, I saw a flyer. Free coding bootcamp scholarships available. I didn't know what coding really was, but I knew one thing. This was a door, and I had nothing left to lose. The first day of the coding bootcamp, I almost didn't go. I was wearing the same jeans for the third day in a row. My shoes had a hole in the sole. I smelled like cheap soap from a gas station bathroom. I didn't belong there. That's what my fear kept whispering. The classroom was inside a community center in Columbus, Ohio, rows of laptops. People my age, some older. Everyone looked confident. I sat in the back. The instructor, a woman named Rachel, started talking about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript like it was another language. At first, it was. My head hurt. My fingers shook on the keyboard. I felt stupid, the exact feeling my mother had trained into me since childhood. But something strange happened. I didn't quit. Every night after work, I went straight to the library. I watched free tutorials. I practiced until my eyes burned. While others went home to dinner, I went back to my car and coded by phone light. Weeks passed, then months. One evening, Rachel stopped behind my seat and stared at my screen. "Did you build this yourself?" she asked. I nodded, scared. "This is clean," she said. "Really clean." No one had ever said that about anything I made. That single sentence rewired something inside me. I wasn't a mistake. I just hadn't been in the right environment. The boot camp helped me apply for internships. Most ignored me. One replied, "A small startup in Austin, Texas, remote position, paid." The email subject line read, "Welcome to the team, Emily." I stared at the screen for 10 minutes before I cried. That job paid enough for me to stop sleeping in my car. I rented a tiny room in a shared apartment. It smelled like old pizza and hope. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell anyone. Because something in me wanted to see how far I could go. Without her shadow. What I didn't know was this: success doesn't stay invisible forever. And the woman who called me a mistake was about to hear my name again. The first day of the coding boot camp, I almost didn't go. I was wearing the same jeans for the third day in a row. My shoes had a hole in the sole. I smelled like cheap soap from a gas station bathroom. I didn't belong there. That's what my fear kept whispering. The classroom was inside a community center in Columbus, Ohio, rows of laptops. People my age, some older. Everyone looked confident. I sat in the back. The instructor, a woman named Rachel, started talking about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript like it was another language. At first, it was. My head hurt. My fingers shook on the keyboard. I felt stupid, the exact feeling my mother had trained into me since childhood. But something strange happened. I didn't quit. Every night after work, I went straight to the library. I watched free tutorials. I practiced until my eyes burned. While others went home to dinner, I went back to my car and coded by phone light. Weeks passed, then months. One evening, Rachel stopped behind my seat and stared at my screen. "Did you build this yourself?" she asked. I nodded, scared. "This is clean," she said. "Really clean." No one had ever said that about anything I made. That single sentence rewired something inside me. I wasn't a mistake. I just hadn't been in the right environment. The boot camp helped me apply for internships. Most ignored me. One replied, "A small startup in Austin, Texas, remote position, paid." The email subject line read, "Welcome to the team, Emily." I stared at the screen for 10 minutes before I cried. That job paid enough for me to stop sleeping in my car. I rented a tiny room in a shared apartment. It smelled like old pizza and hope. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell anyone. Because something in me wanted to see how far I could go. Without her shadow. What I didn't know was this: success doesn't stay invisible forever. And the woman who called me a mistake was about to hear my name again. The truth came from someone I never expected. My Aunt Margaret. We hadn't spoken in years, not because I didn't want to, but because my mother had quietly erased me from the family narrative. One night, I got a message on Facebook. "Emily, I'm not sure if you'll see this, but I think you deserve to know the truth. We met at a small diner off the highway." She looked older, tired, guilty. She didn't waste time. "Your mother never wanted a daughter," she said softly. "She wanted a fresh start." I stared at her. Margaret took a breath. "You were born during the worst year of her life. Divorce, debt, shame, and instead of dealing with it, she blamed you." Suddenly, everything made sense. The coldness, the resentment, the word mistake. "You were proof that her life didn't go as planned," Margaret continued. "And when you started succeeding, she panicked. That's when I understood the calls. Not love, not regret, control. My mother needed to rewrite the story. Make herself the hero who pushed me to succeed." Margaret leaned in. "She's been telling relatives you'll fail without her, that you'll come crawling back." I smiled for the first time. Not out of anger, out of clarity. That night, I went home and opened my laptop. I registered a domain, started a portfolio, updated my LinkedIn. If my mother wanted a story, I was ready to publish the truth, and this time, I wouldn't say a word. I'd let the results speak. Success didn't arrive like a celebration. It arrived quietly, and then all at once. The startup I worked for got acquired by a larger tech company based in San Francisco. Overnight, our internal tools became industry news. And my name? It was in the credits. A tech blog published an article. Young developer Emily Carter helped build the platform everyone's talking about. I didn't share it. I didn't comment. But the internet did its thing. LinkedIn requests, emails, interview invitations. And then, my mother found it. She didn't call this time. She showed up. One Saturday morning, I opened my apartment door and froze. Linda Carter stood there perfectly dressed, forced smile, eyes scanning my life like an inspection. "I knew you'd do well," she said immediately. "I always believed in you." That was the moment something inside me went cold. She looked past me at the small apartment, the mattress, the laptop, the silence. "You could have done this faster with my support," she added. I let her talk. Because people reveal themselves when you don't interrupt. Finally, she said the words I'd been waiting for. "I told everyone I pushed you because I saw your potential." I met her eyes. "No," I said calmly. "You pushed me out." Silence. For the first time in my life, she didn't have a response. She reached for my arm. "Emily, we can fix this." I stepped back. "You already taught me how to live without you." And I closed the door. What she didn't know was this. That acquisition came with stock options. And soon, I'd have more power than she ever imagined. Money changes things. Not because it makes you better, but because it shows people who they really are. After the acquisition, I didn't quit working. I reinvested. I started mentoring girls from broken homes quietly, anonymously, paid for laptops, covered bootcamp fees. I remembered every cold night in my car, every moment of doubt. Helping them healed something in me. Then my name appeared again, this time in a different place. A local Ohio newspaper ran a feature. Former homeless teen creates tech scholarship for young women. My mother read it. She called nonstop, texted, left voicemails crying this time. "You're making me look like a monster," she said in one message. "I'm your mother." That was when I understood. My success wasn't hurting her because she missed me. It was hurting her because she couldn't take credit for me. She showed up again, this time at a public event where I was speaking. I saw her in the crowd, arms crossed, smile tight. During Q&A, someone asked, "What motivated you to succeed when everything was against you?" I paused. The room went quiet. I didn't name her. I didn't attack. I simply said, "Being abandoned teaches you one thing very clearly. Either you disappear, or you build something so strong that no one can erase you." Applause filled the room. I never looked at my mother, but I knew she heard every word. And for the first time, she couldn't rewrite it. The letter arrived 2 weeks after the event. Handwritten. My mother's handwriting. I didn't open it right away. Some wounds don't bleed anymore, they ache. When I finally read it, the words were careful, strategic. She wrote about sacrifices, about being too young and scared, about how she did the best she could. Not once did she apologize. At the end, she asked for something. She wanted me to help her. Her retirement savings were failing. Her image was being misunderstood. And most importantly, she wanted me to publicly say she was the reason for my success. I folded the letter slowly. That night, I wrote one of my own. Not to her, to myself. I listed every night in my car, every skipped meal, every moment I survived alone. Then I made my decision. Instead of replying privately, I told my story publicly. I recorded a podcast episode. No names, no accusations, just facts. I was kicked out at 18, I said calmly. Not because I was reckless, but because I was inconvenient. The episode went viral. Comments flooded in. People recognized the pattern. And my mother? She recognized herself. For the first time, she couldn't control the narrative. And that scared her more than my success ever did. She came to my apartment on a rainy evening. No makeup, no perfect hair, no confidence, just fear. "I need you," she said before I could speak. "They're asking questions. People are judging me. Not I miss you. Not I'm sorry. Just need." I listened quietly. She blamed stress. her past, her parents, everyone but herself. Finally, she whispered, "You wouldn't exist without me." That's when I spoke. "You're right," I said calmly, "but I survived without you." She started crying. "I gave you life," she said. "And I built one," I replied. The silence was heavy. She reached out, trembling. "I'm your mother." I shook my head. "No," I said gently. "You were my beginning, not my foundation." I opened the door. Not in anger, not in revenge, in peace. She stood there for a long moment, then walked away. For the last time, people think revenge looks like shouting, like humiliation, like destruction. It doesn't. Real revenge is becoming unreachable. I didn't destroy my mother's life. I didn't expose her by name. I didn't fight her publicly. I simply stopped carrying her weight. Years passed. My tech nonprofit expanded to 3 states. Girls who once slept in cars now worked in offices with their names on the doors. And me? I bought a small house. Not big, not flashy, just quiet. One afternoon, I found an old photo while unpacking. An 18-year-old girl standing on a porch with a trash bag. Eyes scared, but still standing. That girl didn't need revenge. She needed proof. Proof that being called a worthless mistake doesn't make you one. Proof that abandonment doesn't define you. Survival does. I never heard from my mother again. And that was okay. Because the moment she kicked me out, she lost the best part of her life. And the moment I walked away, I found mine.